Hi there and welcome to the Explaining History videocast, and today I'm going to make a really short video on the subject of the Balfour Declaration. Now if you found your way to this little video, it is probably because you're doing something quite involved on the subject of the Middle East in the 20th century. And the Balfour Declaration is one of the most important documents that begins the century of conflict in the Middle East. In essence, the Balfour Declaration was a document signed by Arthur Balfour, the Conservative politician, former Prime Minister, who was certain that Jewish people should have a national homeland in Palestine. In 1917, the British were at least partway through the conquest of Palestine and the dismemberment of the Ottoman Empire. Palestine had been part of the Ottoman Empire, and the British had seen it as one of their war objectives to seize Palestine, partly for strategic reasons, for wanting to have a foothold in the Middle East and the new supplies of oil that appeared to be present there, and also for political and ideological and even religious reasons. The generation of British politicians, people like Lloyd George and Balfour, had genuine Christian convictions that Palestine should be returned to the Jews. However, there was another political reason why the British wanted to offer the Jews a homeland in Palestine, and ironically, it's actually quite an anti-Semitic reason. They believed, the Balfour and Lord Milner and Lord Curzon and and Lloyd George all thought that Jewish financiers in America were enormously influential, and that Jewish communists in Russia, Russia had obviously, in October 1917, a month before the Balfour Declaration, just been seized by the Bolsheviks, that they too were enormously influential, and that a way to keep America in the war and to induce Russia to remain in the war against Germany — Russia doesn't leave until March 1918 — was to use the influence of Jews in these two powers to bring the American and the Russian governments and the new Soviet government into line. Obviously, this was largely a figment of the imagination of the British government, and it conformed to a rather unpleasant stereotype about Jewish people, that they were seemingly involved in worldwide conspiracies, which wasn't the case at all. The key word in the Balfour Declaration is national home. It doesn't mean state, and the Jews who were offered a national home within the Mandate of Palestine were unsure to begin with as to whether the British wanted to offer them a country or wanted to offer them simply some kind of refuge from a world that's largely hostile to them within the confines of the British Empire. There were many Jews who were uninterested as to whether the British were offering a national home or not, and had fully intended to build a nation state there, and many Jews who believed that it was a good idea to try to work alongside the Arabs to try to make, who were the indigenous peoples of Palestine, to try to build good relationships there. I'll talk in another video a little later on about the nature of Zionism, and if you want to listen to more on Zionism, you can listen to the Explaining History podcast. I hope this was useful to you, and if you want to hear more about the Middle East in the 20th century, remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thanks very much, and there are some links below that will be helpful. All the best. Thanks. Bye-bye.